Donald Trump has done it again. If you thought him attacking a child with disabilities was bad enough, him doing it twice, I think, might raise the stakes. And that is exactly what Donald Trump has done. After an Indiana Republican announced a term ending blow to Donald Trump's secret plot, he lost his mind again. And it is unsurprising but disgusting, and we are going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into what Trump just said, doubling down on one of the worst mistakes he has made in his term, attacking a child, I want to start where this all began. Of course, Donald Trump's attack on Tim Walz on Thanksgiving, and Walz's response this morning.
Look, Donald Trump insulting me is a badge of honor for me, but I think we all know, as both as an educator for a couple decades and as a parent, using that term is just so damaging. It's hurtful. We have fought 3 decades to get this out of our schools. Kids know better than to use it. But look, this is what Donald Trump has done. He's normalized this type of hateful behavior and this type of language. And mainly, look, at first, I think it's just because he's not a good human being. But secondly, to distract from his incompetency. We know we just came through a Thanksgiving where prices are up. We know people are concerned about heating their homes as we're experiencing blizzards out here at the same time he's cutting those programs. So, look, we cannot allow this to be normalized. The people who, Trump is, like this is language police, you guys are woke. Many times it's just about being decent to people and making them feel included. You can use that word, sure, you can use that language, but you shouldn't. And that's something that Donald Trump fails to realize. But again, Kristen, this is cruelness, this is meanness, it's aimed at a broader community. And as far as demonizing our Somali community, maybe he could help us on some things.
When Tim Walz said that Donald Trump and the rest of the Republican Party were just a bunch of weirdos, I don't think that anything has ever been a more apt description of a group of people than that. They are weirdos, they are gross, they should be banished from society. They do it to themselves and then they complain. This is a funny thing, little sidebar, that Republicans do when they equate cancel culture with just the facts that they have shitty personalities. Like Donald Trump spouting off slurs is not something that makes you want to hang out with him. J.D. Vance constantly attacking his wife and her heritage and like doing it with a wink and a nod is not something that makes you go, oh, that's a guy I want to have a beer with. These people are so off-putting, and then they get mad at us when they don't have friends. That is the constant victimhood complex of the modern conservative, and it is just so exhausting, which is why it was surprising and fantastic that a Republican actually stood up to Donald Trump, and one who has a lot of power over a plot that he needs to help him salvage his term, but it's blowing up in his face. As we reported earlier this week, but is important to what Donald Trump just said, GOP state senator balks at redistricting after Trump again uses the R word. On Thursday, Donald Trump once again found it acceptable to use the R word, directing it towards Minnesota Governor Tim Walz in a Truth Social post, which also attacked Somali immigrants in the state. This seriously R-worded governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, does nothing, either through fear, incompetence, or both, Trump posted. For Republican Indiana State Senator Michael Boasek, Trump's most recent use of the anti-disability slur was the final straw in his decision not to support Indiana redistricting in support of Republicans winning more seats. On Friday, Rep. Boasek posted the following on Facebook. Many of you have asked my position on redistricting. I have been an unapologetic advocate for people with intellectual disabilities since the birth of my second daughter. Those of you who don't know me or my family might not know that my daughter has Down syndrome. This is not the first time our president has used these insulting interrogatory references, and his choices of words have consequences. I will be voting no on redistricting. Perhaps he can use the next 10 months to convince voters that his policies and behavior deserve a congressional majority. In a Facebook comment, Boasek's wife Melissa said she supported her husband, writing, "For families like ours, hearing the same mockery and derogatory language from our president isn't abstract. He didn't almost say or do anything hurtful. He did. According to the Indiana Star, the Indiana State House of Representatives is set to meet on December 1st to discuss a redistricting map, and the Indiana State Senate on December 8th. So that was obviously a major blow to Trump's number one fixation right now, which is to try to get 2 more red congressional seats out of Indiana. It's going to be a struggle in Texas. States like Kansas are giving up on it. Florida might have some trouble. Donald Trump is worried because the midterms are looking even more grim than ever. And so he was begging and hoping and praying that sending J.D. Vance to Indiana and sending Mike Johnson to Indiana and attacking Republicans in Indiana would be the solution. But it has not been for Donald Trump, and he only made it worse for himself. And after that, Donald Trump decided that to win over this man's vote, he would double down on the derogatory, double down on the attacks of those who are differently abled, and it's just gross to watch.
MAGA guy in that same post you mentioned Tim Walz, and you called him what many Americans do find a bit more retarded. Do you stand by that claim of calling Tim Walz retarded?
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with him. Absolutely, sure. You have a problem with it? You know what? I think there's something wrong with it. Anybody that would do what he did, anybody that would allow those people into a state and pay billions of dollars out to Somalia. We give billions of dollars to Somalia. It's not even a country because it doesn't function like a country. It's got a name, but it doesn't function like a country. Yeah, there's something wrong with Walz.
Is he stupid or is he just disgusting? Because it's both. Why would you do that? Like, not just politically, because obviously he's screwing himself politically, but on a human level. Why? What does Donald Trump... I'm done trying to psychologize this man. He is an awful, evil person, and he is just digging himself a deeper grave as he continues to go down this road. It will do nothing for Donald Trump but hurt him politically. The right might cheer it on. The worst people on the right are like, oh yeah, Donald Trump owned Tim Walz, huge win. Congratulations. Great. You're not going to be able to buy a house. The stock market is about to implode. The economy is collapsing. People are losing jobs left and right. Prices are skyrocketing. 20 million people kicked off their health insurance, but a fucking huge win for you. Donald Trump used the R word. What a tremendous victory. I hope you're happy. I hope that satiates you to the point that maybe you forget that Donald Trump has caused children to starve all across the world. Is this seriously what you want out of your politics? Such fucking losers. These people need to be stuffed in lockers and kicked out of our society. They're weirdos. They're losers. They suck. If this is what you cheer on, you are a shitty, weird person. That's it. You have no politics. You're just a baby. This isn't gossip. It's not drama. It's not high school infighting. These are people's lives. He's not a leader. He's a fucking moron, and I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of this getting applause, and I'm glad that Republicans stepped up. But seriously, man, it took you this long. Good on you for this, but this long? Do you not remember 2015? You're about a decade late. That's my rant. I wish we had people who realized this earlier and realized it when Tim Walz was running for vice president alongside Kamala Harris, because I could really use a big dose of this right now.
Do you take responsibility for failing to stop this fraud in your state?
Well, certainly I take responsibility for putting people in jail. Governors don't get to just talk theoretically. We have to solve problems. And I will note, it's not just Somalis. Minnesota is a generous state. Minnesota is a prosperous state, a well-run state. We're AAA bond rated, but that attracts criminals. Those people are going to jail. We're doing everything we can. But to demonize an entire community on the actions of a few, it's lazy. And as you heard Senator Kelly say, this president has cut a lot of inspector generals. He's cut programs that could help us tackle this on. So we'll take it on. We'll put folks in jail. I don't care what your nationality is. I don't care what your religion is, your color. If you're committing crimes, these are programs that were meant to serve students with autism, to housing, and to making sure people had enough to eat. There's a reason Minnesota ranks as the top. Lowest childhood poverty, best place for children to live. People are taking advantage of that. They're going to prison. That is totally disconnected with demonizing an entire group of people who came here fleeing civil war and created a vibrant community that makes Minnesota and this country better. But that's Donald Trump. Deflect, demonize, come up with no solutions. He's not going to help fix anything on fraud. My God, there's a big difference between fraud and corruption is something he knows about.
Well, Governor, let me have you weigh in on this, because part of your initial response to President Trump's post was to call for him to release the results of his MRI. And I want to give you a chance to give our viewers exactly a sense of what you mean. What exactly were you suggesting by that, Governor?
Well, here we got a guy on Thanksgiving where we spent time with our families, we ate, we played Yahtzee, we cheered for football or whatever. This guy is apparently in a room ranting about everything else. This is not normal behavior. It is not healthy. And presidents throughout time have released a couple things. They've released their tax returns, not Donald Trump, and they've released their medical records, not Donald Trump. And look, the MRI is one thing, but I think what's most concerning about this is, as your viewers out there are listening, has anyone in the history of the world ever have an MRI assigned to them and have no idea what it was for, as he says? So look, it's clear the president's fading physically. I think the mental capacity, again, ranting, crazily at midnight on Thanksgiving about everything else, there's reasons for us to be concerned. This is a guy that randomly says the airspace over Venezuela is closed. He's ruminating on if you could win a nuclear war. Look, this is a serious position. It's the most powerful position in the world. And we have someone at midnight throwing around slurs that demonize our children. And at the same time, he's not solving any of the problems. So I'm deeply concerned that he is incapable of doing the job.
Governor, a couple more to get to here. I want to talk about the Democrats. You were, of course, the Democratic vice presidential nominee in 2024 because President Biden dropped out over concerns about his fitness for office. Vice President Harris, in her new book, said it was, quote, recklessness for former President Biden's allies to leave the decision about running for re-election up to him and his family. Do you agree with her? Was it recklessness?
Look, I wasn't there, Kristen, on this, and I think the president, again, got us through COVID, ushered us through, brought the economy back from the edge. I think there's question about this, and I want to be very clear. On me talking about the MRI, ageism is a real thing. Ableism is a real thing that we need to be careful of with people, and I think Donald Trump made a cottage industry out of attacking Joe Biden's competency, and it seemed like that got reported a lot. Now, whether that decision should have been made sooner, history will determine that. What I do know is that going forward, we need somebody in office who's actually going to tackle the things Americans need.
That is a competent, normal, compassionate person. Why could he have not been vice president? I don't know. But here we are. We're going to have to keep on fighting back. Sorry that this is a little depressing episode, but we have to have those sometimes. I will try to make the next one more fun. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Donald Trump's approval rating is taking. He's at like 34% right now. That's the positive news to cap the episode. And we're going to keep bringing some positivity when we can. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. Leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.